Man, it feels good to be back talking football, but let's be honest, when it comes to the Miami Dolphins, it's never just about football, right? There's always some drama going on down there, and this week is no exception. The big headline coming out of South Florida is the firing of longtime general manager Chris Grier. After more than 2 decades with the organization and no playoff wins to show for it, the Dolphins finally decided to pull the plug. And let's be real, nobody was surprised. This was one of those moves that felt like it should have happened years ago. You never want to celebrate someone losing their job, but at some point, accountability has to mean something, and for Miami, this was long overdue. Grier had been with the team for 25 years, and during that time, he's seen it all. He's been a scout, a personnel guy, and of course, the general manager. Through every era of false hope and failed rebuilds, he was the one constant. The team has cycled through coaches, quarterbacks, and philosophies, but somehow the same problems kept showing up. No direction, no consistency, no real progress. So yeah, when owner Stephen Ross finally decided to start at the top, it felt like the first honest step toward trying something different. But the big question is, will it actually matter? Because if you followed the Dolphins for any amount of time, you know the issues go way deeper than just one guy. This is an organization that's been stuck in a loop for years. Every time they try to fix things, they go halfway. They don't commit to a rebuild. They don't commit to a philosophy. It's like the owner is always chasing a shortcut to success, and in the process, they just spin in circles. You look at the pattern, chasing big-name coaches like Jim Harbaugh back in the day while already having someone in place, mixing up front office voices, hiring a Mike McDaniel for a new offensive identity, but then keeping old decision-makers from previous regimes. There's never been one clear vision. And that's the heart of the problem. Stephen Ross is the kind of owner who wants to win, but he can't seem to get out of his own way. He's had moments where he's stepped in too much and moments where he's disappeared completely. That inconsistency has filtered all the way through the franchise, from the front office to the locker room. You can't build a stable culture when every 2 or 3 years you're reinventing yourself. It's like trying to build a house on shifting sand. Now, the interesting part is what happens next. Chris Grier's out, but Mike McDaniel's still there for now. And if you listen to the tone around the team, it feels like everyone knows what's coming. McDaniel's situation is shaky, to say the least. He's been trying to say all the right things in press conferences, talking about controlling what he can control, focusing on the next game. But if you've watched him lately, he looks like a man waiting for the inevitable. You can see it in his body language, the way he talks about his team, the way he references the future. It's like he knows the writing is on the wall. The team named Champ Kelly as the interim general manager, and that move is interesting. He's a respected name around the league, spent time with the Bears and the Raiders, and now he's got his shot to prove himself. But what kind of power will he really have? Because if Stephen Ross is still calling the shots, will Kelly actually get to build something his way? That's the test. If he does get the full-time job, will he have to keep McDaniel just because Ross likes him? That's exactly the type of half measure that's kept Miami stuck for years. And let's talk about the vibe inside that locker room, because from everything coming out of Miami, it's not great. The players are numb to the chaos at this point. They've seen everything. The coaching changes, the scandals, the losing streaks. Veterans like Alec Ingold have basically said nothing surprises them anymore. And that says a lot. When dysfunction becomes normal, that's a culture problem, not just a bad stretch. It's almost like the team has built an identity around weirdness. One reporter even joked that it's like Stranger Things Season 4 down there. Every year, something bizarre happens, and we all just watch it unfold. The sad part is that it's robbed the fans and even the media of actual football talk. When was the last time anyone broke down the Dolphins' offensive scheme or defensive adjustments? It's always something else: front office drama, coaching rumors, ownership questions. And that's not fun for anyone. It's exhausting for the players, for the fans, and honestly for the rest of the league that wants to see Miami finally figure it out. Now, you can't talk about the Dolphins without mentioning Tua Tagovailoa. The guy has been at the center of this franchise for years, and now it feels like his future's hanging in the balance too. He's got a huge contract next year, over $50 million guaranteed, and that complicates everything. Realistically, that means he's probably going to be with the team next season, whether as the starter or as a bridge quarterback while a rookie gets developed. But it's hard to imagine this same setup continuing for much longer. Tua's relationship with McDaniel looks shaky. When asked if Tua might be benched, McDaniel gave one of his typical long, roundabout answers that didn't exactly scream confidence. He said Tua's his quarterback for the Bills game, that he's worked hard, that they'll do what's best for the team. But come on, that's not how a coach talks about a guy he's fully behind. If you ask Sean McDermott about Josh Allen, he'd say absolutely no. Under no circumstances is my quarterback getting benched. That's what real conviction sounds like. So when you hear hesitation from McDaniel, it's a sign that the trust is gone. Now, is Tua still the best option for Miami right now? Probably yes. He knows the system better than anyone. He's accurate. He's had stretches where he's been productive, even led the league in passing yards not long ago. But you can also see the regression. He's making mistakes he didn't used to make. The confidence that once made him dangerous has turned into hesitancy. And at this point, it's fair to wonder if he can ever get back to what he was, or if maybe he needs a new start somewhere else. Because one thing's for sure, staying in the same broken environment rarely fixes a player. Looking ahead to this Sunday, the Bills are heading down to Miami, and honestly, it might feel like a home game for Buffalo. Dolphins fans are checked out right now. You could see it during the Ravens game. Tons of Baltimore fans in the stands, Lamar Jackson jerseys everywhere. It's not that Miami fans don't care. It's that they're tired. Tired of paying high ticket prices to watch their team fall apart year after year. So don't be surprised if Hard Rock Stadium is filled with Bills Mafia making noise in the sun. There's still a small sense of relief among Dolphins fans because change has finally started, but it's mixed with frustration. They've seen this movie before. They've seen step one of a rebuild that never really happens. What they want now is a full reset. New general manager, new coach, new quarterback, new everything. Even if it means another couple of rough seasons, they just want to believe that there's a real plan this time. They want a team that grows, that builds, that feels like it's going somewhere instead of just spinning its wheels every year. So yeah, the firing of Chris Greer might be the start of hope, but the real test is still ahead. Because until Miami truly wipes the slate clean, fans aren't going to trust the process. They've been burned too many times before. And even though it feels like we've been talking about front office mess and off-field drama forever, there's still a game to play on Sunday. For the Bills, this one means everything. They're still in the playoff hunt, still chasing the Patriots, and they can't afford to slip against a team that looks completely lost. For the Dolphins, it's about pride, or what's left of it. You never want to say a team has quit, and honestly, I don't think Miami's players have. They're still fighting, still trying, but when you watch them, it's obvious they're simply not good enough. They hang around for a quarter or two, and then as soon as a team like Baltimore or Buffalo steps on the gas, the Dolphins disappear. That's exactly what happened last week. The Ravens came to town. Lamar Jackson threw 4 touchdown passes. Derrick Henry ran wild. And before halftime, it was clear Miami didn't stand a chance. The same could easily happen again this Sunday. If the Bills start slow, maybe the score stays close early, 10-3, 13-7, but once Josh Allen and that offense lock in, it's hard to see any real resistance coming from Miami. They're too beat up, too confused, and too unstable to go toe-to-toe with a focused Buffalo team. And that's where things get tricky for the Dolphins. They're not just losing games, they're losing direction. Remember when tank for Tua was the big phrase a few years ago? That was supposed to be the turning point, the moment Miami finally found its guy. But here we are again, talking about maybe drafting another quarterback. The irony is painful. The Jets just traded away key pieces, clearly positioning themselves for the future, and now the Dolphins might end up doing the same. It's not about tanking officially, of course, but when your owner knows the season's lost and your interim general manager is told to think long-term, what else can you really expect? Stephen Ross has a reputation for meddling, and history tells us he's not afraid to push for drastic measures when things get ugly. You can almost picture the conversations behind closed doors. We need to rebuild. Get some picks. Move players. Let's reset. And to be honest, that might be the best thing for them. We've seen this formula before. The Patriots did it with Drake May, The Cardinals did it when they drafted Kyler Murray after already having a quarterback, and even teams like the Ravens found their guy without a top 3 pick. But Miami can't rely on luck this time. They need a real plan, a top 5 pick, a clear direction, and a quarterback who fits that plan from day one. Now, let's talk leadership, because that's another piece that's been missing for far too long. Coming into this season, everyone inside the Dolphins organization was talking about culture. They said they had the right leaders, that the locker room was strong, that they'd turn the corner. But when you look at what's happened over the past few months, it's hard to see that leadership anywhere. The team doesn't look united. The energy is off. And when the losses start piling up, the cracks become impossible to hide. Multiple former players have said the same thing. Tua just doesn't have that commanding presence that a quarterback needs. He's a nice guy, he works hard, he says all the right things, but sometimes that's not enough. When your team is drowning in chaos, you need your quarterback to be the anchor. You need someone fiery, someone who rallies the room when things go bad. And that's just not Tua's personality. Maybe that's fine on a team loaded with talent, where everything else runs smoothly. But when you're leading a franchise built on uncertainty, you've got to be more than accurate. You've got to be magnetic. And you can see the difference when you compare Miami to other teams in the same city. Look at the Heat, for example. The Heat have something real, something tangible, culture. It's not just a word they throw around. It's an identity. Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra built an organization where accountability is everything. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're not putting in the work, you don't play. That's why they're always competitive, even when they don't have superstars. The same thing goes for the Florida Panthers, who turned themselves from a disaster into back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. They brought in Bill Zito, gave him the freedom to make bold moves, and he did exactly that, trading big names, taking risks, and reshaping the team from the ground up. That's what Miami football needs. Not another flashy coach, not another quick-fix quarterback. They need someone with the courage to start over completely. Someone who can walk into that building, clear out the noise, and say, this is how we're going to do things now. Because until that happens, the Dolphins will keep repeating the same mistakes. Overpaying for names, holding on to the wrong people, trying to patch holes instead of building new walls. And if you're a fan, that's the most frustrating part. You look at other teams that were once just as lost, teams like the Lions, the Texans, the Jaguars, and you realize how quickly things can change when a franchise finally commits to a real plan. The Lions were a joke for decades, and now look at them. The Texans tore everything down, drafted C.J. Stroud, hired a strong coach in D'Amico Ryans, and suddenly they're relevant again. It doesn't take 20 years. It just takes one right decision at the top, one person who truly knows what they're doing. The Dolphins have had talent. They've had moments where it felt like they were on the edge of something. But every time they start climbing, they trip over themselves. The problem isn't the players, it's the structure. It's the lack of a consistent vision, a football identity that everyone, from the owner to the practice squad, can believe in. And as long as that's missing, it doesn't matter who's throwing the passes or calling the plays. The results will always look the same. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. A storm appears to be brewing in the NFL as whispers of controversy surround the New England Patriots. A new video has surfaced, raising eyebrows across the league, and sources close to the matter suggest the footage could be more than just a minor infraction. According to insiders, the Buffalo Bills have lodged a formal complaint with the NFL after what they claim is clear evidence of the Patriots' questionable tactics. While the contents of the video remain largely undisclosed, speculation among analysts and fans is running wild. Social media is buzzing with theories, some suggesting strategic breaches, while others hint at potential violations of league conduct rules. The NFL, known for acting swiftly when its integrity is perceived to be at stake, has reportedly promised a thorough investigation. The league takes these matters seriously, an anonymous source familiar with the inquiry told us. While it's too early to predict the consequences, The mere fact that the Bills' front office escalated the complaint publicly adds fuel to the rumor mill. Could fines, suspensions, or even draft penalties be on the horizon? Pundits are divided, but the Patriots' reputation for bending rules, sometimes just enough to stay within the gray areas, only intensifies the debate. Fans of both sides are already weighing in, with Bills supporters calling for maximum punishment and Patriots loyalists defending their team's history of cunning gameplay. Meanwhile, insiders hint that locker room tensions may rise as players and coaches brace for potential fallout. Some suggest this could even impact team morale going into the crucial mid-season matchups. While the NFL has not confirmed any specific sanctions, the mere promise of investigation keeps the story alive in every sports chat and podcast. One thing is certain: the Patriots, often at the center of controversy, are once again in the spotlight, and the league's next move could send shockwaves not just through New England, but across the NFL. The coming days will likely be filled with more leaks, hot takes, and strategic speculation as fans and analysts alike attempt to decode the implications of the video. For now, the rumor mill is running at full speed, and the Patriots find themselves exposed, at least in the court of public opinion. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.